The best use of the word pig is by a guy that we know at the track, and his name is Omar. He is a long shot player. He's constantly extolling his horses to continue running by yelling, "Stay with it, you pig! Stay there, you pig!" I mean, where you're being demeaning. It's almost like you rooting for Florida State, Lubie, where you're just absolutely horrified at the possibilities of how badly your team is going to fade, even when they're well in command of the game. And that's one use of it. But then at the same time, you'll have guys cursing a horse in the very same race, screaming, "Don't die, you pig!" Even at a strip club, you don't hear the word pig employed as often as you do at the track. And the various uses of it, I think, are kind of fascinating. I'm surprised some English language professor hasn't studied track vernacular.
I just love that people I've heard you guys talk about, oh, that fucking pig, but I haven't heard people using it to root on a horse that hasn't lost.
Yeah.
You haven't lost?
Keep going, you pig.
Why is it a pig before it loses? What if it wins by like 3 lengths?
Because the horse was a pig, or it wouldn't be a long shot. Very, very creative use of the word pig, and part of the racetrack vernacular. I don't know why it isn't a course offered in Florida schools.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Various references to kisses of death, pigs, things of that nature. It all goes with the degenerate gambler's mentality, the gambling vernacular, as we say. My favorite thing, and good morning, everybody. Great to be with you. Got a little bit of a late start here. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, a Degenerate Friday edition of the Defo Show here on South Florida Live and all over the universe, various platforms pretty soon to come. Big announcements, right, Lubie? We have big announcements to make. We don't know what they are yet, but we have big announcements. I'm hoping anyway. But most colorful thing anyone ever said to me, the thing that stuck with me, Joey Savage, son of the late, great Bob Savage, first race caller I heard when I came here. He was calling the races at Calder Race Course. Joey's always been around the game there, clocker in the morning, handicapper. Might be giving some people some advice on who to bet. Patino seems to hang around Joey Savage a lot when he's at the racetrack, so I'm assuming that he's looking to pluck his brain for whatever expertise Joey can pass along to the great coach, Rick Pitino. And I remember asking him how he's doing. I said, "Hey, how you hitting him?" One day. This was years ago. And he just looked at me right in the eyeball, Lubie, and said, "I'm seeing bugs." And that stuck with me because how many times have you just been seeing bugs? I mean, not just in racetrack endeavors, but all over the board when it comes to trying to get out of this thing in one piece. Good morning. Good to be with you. We have a Degenerate Friday show on tap here. The Greek's going to join us. We have the professor lined up. And Mark Lawrence also going to join us later on in the program. And we will try and work in some gambling gourmet. I don't know with this new out time here. We may have to just wait till we get to the track at 12 o'clock for the great Mike Mayo and get his opinion. You do have a huge horse race coming up this weekend, the Travers, which is a very interesting field as you have the 3 individual Triple Crown race winners that are all going to the post and the 2-year-old champion, Forte, who will be the favorite in the race, I would imagine, probably post-time as well, after that big bust-through run in the Jim Dandy when everybody thought that his number should have been taken down, except the stewards, including people that had the horse. I benefited greatly by that horse staying up in that race. Rarely does it happen when you're looking at a replay of a steward's inquiry and or an objection, and you look and you say, yeah, that horse really ought to be taken down. Usually, you're on the side of, the Donald Trump fly. Yeah, he did nothing. I did nothing wrong. What are you talking about? They never mention the people who died in the insurrection there, do they? The January 6th thing? Does Trump ever acknowledge that some security people actually were killed, had their lives ruined by this whole thing? This action of his, this hideous ridiculousness that people somehow embrace. This is the most baffling part about it. It's not that Trump might be president again, even though he's in prison. It's not the 4 indictments. Could this look any more like a coronation when they do these motorcades? How many cars do you need to protect the president while he's being taken off to jail to be fingerprinted and have his mugshot taken? Which, by the way, the mugshot is a stroke of brilliance there. I mean, how angry can you look while you're wearing all of that orange makeup, Lubie? Seriously, and who wears makeup for their mugshot besides even Lindsay Lohan? You know, when she had her mugshot taken, became one of the infamous mugshots of celebrities. Justin Bieber, I mean, he's not wearing makeup. I don't know that he wears makeup in general anyway, but did you catch this thing? I mean, how much orange makeup did Trumpster have caked on his face for a mugshot, for Christ's sake? Just go in there, right? And what? There were like 15 cars in the motorcade. What did you think? Is this going to become a classic? It certainly. They should have that. Don't they have a wall of all of the portraits of the presidents? That should be the one that represents Trump. No, if he has one up there already, 45, or did they already put a cover over that? What do you think? Is that on display? Didn't Melania try to change everything around in all of the rooms that sort of glorify the history or depict the history of the United States and the office of the presidency? Didn't she like cut all the flowers down or whatever?
Yes.
She rearranged the rose garden there.
Yep.
Such ugliness all the way through. The thing about that was fascinating, though. I mean, there was an over-under proposition on the weight that Donald Trump, they're supposed to weight a guy, which, nobody really likes to get on somebody else's scale, do you, Lubie? Do you ever step on the public scale? Well, you can get away with it because you're not going to have that thing spinning around there like twice before it lands on like 299, like a lot of people. Are the public scales scaled down deliberately? Are they calibrated to show a lower weight? What do you think? I get on them. I'm horrified. Horrified. I don't do it anymore. I don't want to feel badly about how much you weigh, right? Where you're thinking, wow, I'm really taking this in the right direction. I walked my 4 miles last night. I hardly ate anything, didn't have any dinner. And then you get on the scale and you weigh 5 pounds more than you did the day before. And you're thinking, why did I do that? I mean, it's like depressing. So what do you do as a reaction? You end up stuffing your face. You go to the fridge, start eating anything that's in there. And that only exacerbates the situation. But for Trump to tip the scale, claim that he weighed 215, Lubie?
It's not possible.
6'3", 215.
Yeah, it's not possible. He's massively overweight, and he's whatever his height is, he's over 6 foot. Like, there's no way he's less than 300 pounds. Like, there's no way. Maybe 280, maybe, but that's a load of garbage.
I'm thinking fat doesn't weigh as much as muscle.
It doesn't. Fat, muscle is more than fat, but still, you'd be, if you're 6'3", 215, you're thin as a rail. You wouldn't be. He has a gut, a massive gut.
No, he's huge. There's no doubt. 215. I would think of all the lies he's told, Lubie, might that one be the biggest? Well, what would you say? I mean, would you go ahead and give him? I mean, if I was a cop there and he put that down, I guess this paperwork was filled out well in advance there, where he has the strawberry blonde hair, supposedly. That was obviously a self-description. I mean, you can't see some cop sitting there at the Fulton County Jail where guys are howling, "Hey, are we going to get to eat tonight?" Supposedly one of the scummiest jails this side of Rikers Island. And I can't imagine that, the cop is sitting there going, "Hey, Donald, is that strawberry blonde hair? Is that okay? Can I characterize it that way? What do you think you weigh about? 215? Okay, I'll take that." Shouldn't they have stopped him right there and arrested him on another perjury charge? If Trump's 215, what? Mayo admits to being 240, right? And he's like, about 5? Is he 5'9", Mayo? 5'8"?
I think he said he's 5'7" or 5'8". I think
okay.
Who said he is.
I mean, he doesn't have as much of a gut as Trump, even with the bizarre eating habits that he has. Which that was really something yesterday. He actually justified that, Lubie.
Yes.
That you could stick your hand in the drawn butter bowl with a piece of lobster and not worry that the other people might be grossed out that are sharing that very same.
He called it finger food. I've never seen someone pick up a piece of steak and go finger food.
Spaghetti he eats with his hands. Chopped liver.
Just because you use the term finger food doesn't actually mean it's fake. It's like these people who, just because they believe the election was rigged doesn't mean the election was rigged. Like, just because you say it, it's like, dude, it's a piece of lobster. You use it for and a knife, like use a fork. They literally give you a fork to take it out.
I'd be willing to guarantee, though, Lubie, that not to stop your thought there, but I'd be willing to guarantee that Mayo weighs less than Trump.
Probably
admitting to 240.
Yeah, well, he's like 5'7", 5'8", and if someone, even if it's the same size, again, that's 8 inches shorter. Like, if you have the same kind of stomach and are 8 inches taller, then you must weigh a crap load. Like I'm just being honest. I'm not fat shaming anyone, but he's
Yeah.
lying. Like he's just lying.
Well, where's Jack Smith on this, huh?
Yeah,
That's all you would need to do is hold that up and say, this is a man who just told the police that he weighs 215. I mean, come on, 215? That they had to be howling when they saw that number. The over/under number, Jim Sarney made a bet with me, and now I mean the bet's off because there's no way to really establish who would have won. And the over/under number, according to some sports book, was 278 and a hook.
Yeah.
Which I went under because I thought, you know what, he's one of those guys that looks like he weighs way more than you that probably doesn't for some reason. Like I had him checking in at maybe like 260. What do you think, Libby? 260? You say 300. I don't think he weighs 300.
I think he weighs 300 pounds. I think he's bigger than he lets on. He wears really big clothes. So I think he's fucking huge.
That should have been the hottest topic. I don't know why they didn't bring that up more frequently. The mugshot, it was up there with some of the infamous mugshots, but nothing compares. How could these rankings are so bogus on the all-time most bizarre celebrity mugshots. How could Nick Nolte not be number one on every list? With the hair, remember? I mean, he had the hair, looked like Professor Irwin Corey, and he was out of his mind, and the eyeballs were kaleidoscopic. How is that not the number one bizarre celebrity mugshot on every list? He was number 5 on the list that I looked at. Nick Nolte.
How was he 5? Who's the top 3?
And they had like Charlie Sheen, which he didn't have a bizarre looking. He actually looked more normal in his mugshot than he did when he was on TV. Maybe accustomed to this sort of thing. Bieber, I guess, got arrested. Lindsay Lohan. But nothing compared to Nick Nolte. I mean, that would be the classic of all time. If you were going to make a mugshot reference, would you not immediately go to Nick Nolte?
It's Nolte and Tiger, the two worst.
Oh, and Tiger, yeah.
At their fucking worst. They couldn't fake it. They couldn't hide it.
Right.
They were so far gone that this is what you get with Nolte and Tiger. And you can take whatever order you want because Tiger was fucked up. Nolte and Tiger were the two that were like automatic. Like no one's even close. Are you kidding?
No. Anyway, yeah, I mean, that was disappointing to see him that low on the list. I think you're not doing Nick Nolte the proper justice. All right, a lot of stuff going on. We want to get to it all here on a Degenerate Friday. We have the Greek coming up here in just a sec. College football gets underway. The professor's going to join us, and we'll have some insight into that. Most of the games appear to be thought of as blowouts. So only one game has a low spread, and that would be San Diego State and Ohio. Of the 4 games on tap, is that it? Only 4 games in the entire week 0? Lubie, or is that just the games that they featured on the board here?
There's more than that. There's just not a lot of great games, but I think there's more than.
I have Notre Dame Navy with Notre Dame 20 and a hook, USC 30 and a half over San Jose State, Vanderbilt 17 and a half over Hawaii, and Hawaii's on the road there, so that's going to be prohibitive. San Diego State 2 and a hook over Ohio, and that's all I have listed. There have to be more games.
FIU's tomorrow.
Oh yeah, okay. Mike McIntyre, our guy.
Navy, Notre Dame, UTEP, Jacksonville State, UMass, New Mexico State, Ohio, San Diego State, Hawaii, Vanderbilt, San Jose State, USC is also tomorrow as well. So that's 7 games. 7 games for this weekend.
Okay, I only had 4 listed here in my odds board there, and so those were the only ones I had any interest in. All right, we're going to get to the Greek, the professor, and Mark Lawrence going to join us from playbooksports.com, and great handicapper, trend handicapper. Get into some stuff, maybe some selections for the preseason, last week of preseason games in the NFL. The Shohei Ohtani story, kind of weird, and we'll get into that a little bit later on as well. Back with more in a moment here on a Defo Show on a Degenerate Friday. Now that I'm here. There you go, Johnny Andy. It's 7:25. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
You can't fake caring. Women can sense this immediately. You don't really care. You didn't really want to do any of this.
We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Degenerate Friday needs a little shot in the arm here. So we're going to get it right now. I mean, this is like getting the finest of euphoric drugs, bringing on the Greek to the program on a Degenerate Friday. So we are happy to welcome the world's luckiest man. Luckiest man on the face of the earth. The Greek joins us here on the show. Greek, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, D. How are you guys doing? You and Lubie on this Friday college football weekend, preseason action. We are back in action, ready to go.
I love that about you, that you're salivating over the point spreads, because, we love the smell of point spreads in the morning. It's absolutely great. We did recommend, and this is probably unfortunate for those that followed our advice or our suggestion, that you always take the points when you see whopping point spreads in the preseason. That didn't work out too well last night, as we went down on both fronts. Steelers shutting out the Falcons, Colts annihilating the Eagles, and so that wasn't too favorable. Are you going to dive in on this final week of the preseason? I know. I mean, you are one of the few positive advocates of betting preseason football, and I would imagine have had some success with it even this year. Where do you stand on the final week of the preseason?
I think there's some moves. Last night, I think if you watch lines, like last night, Pittsburgh and the Colts were their play because their road teams given 4 or 5 points. That made no sense to me when you look at the games. But, yeah, I think there's still money to be made on preseason, but I think everybody's going to watch the Jets and Giants Saturday. See how the Dolphins do against Tampa Bay. I'd probably lean a little bit. College football is real now. So, I mean, there's a lot of games in college football. You got Notre Dame and Navy, New Mexico State over Massachusetts. I like them. Vanderbilt over Hawaii. Last year, Vanderbilt beat them like 63-10 in Hawaii.
Wow.
So, I like Vanderbilt laying 17 this week. And I also like Notre Dame in the first half over Navy, depending on the weather, though. Right now, it is supposed to be in the 60s and raining. If it's not a bad storm, because college football, you got to remember, it's a big change this year. The clock doesn't stop on first down this year.
Oh, geez.
So it's going to be like, 9 to 14 plays they're saying that they're not going to have per game.
Okay. I mean, were they doing it throughout the ball game, stopping the clock on first downs, or was that only in certain periods of the
game?
Of the half. Okay. Whole game. Wow. All right. So that could help the underplayers out a little bit also, not necessarily equating that into their handicapping factors. Notre Dame and Navy, we're looking at this game. We really think that the Navy offense should be banned. I don't know. How do you feel about that? That it very much is like the four corners in basketball where, put a clock in something.
They're going to break. You stop it. They're going to run. Notre Dame's got that kid Hartman, the transfer. He's really good. I think he's going to have a good year. He's a nice story. The kid had cancer. He came back. He just signed a big deal with Dr. Dre, and he gave everybody beats on his team, which was really cool. I think Notre Dame beats them. Will they win by 21? Again, the weather, I think, is going to be a factor, and also Navy. Navy runs the ball, but Navy's got a new coach first time in years, and he says that he's going to change the offense a little, and they're going to keep the option in, but they might pass a little bit more. So we'll see. But I think Notre Dame first half -11 is a good play. But I think this kid Hartman's going to do really well for Notre Dame as a quarterback.
Baffling to me, Greek, throughout the history of following the service academies, with I guess you could leave Air Force out of this because by the very nature of the idea that they are the Air Force, you would think their offense would look more like Air Coryell than it does this wishbone garbage that is being employed by Navy and Army, and especially Navy. I guess Georgia Tech is the other team that uses this offense, and then everybody else uses like a regular offense that almost anybody else would embrace over this triple option thing. But how is it possible you could have like the Navy SEALs and all these Navy heroes, and in the entire Naval Academy you can't find one fucking guy who can throw the football? I mean, that doesn't bizarre to you?
They play to their strengths. First of all, the Army and Navy, you got to realize, which all this, your audience knows, you go to school there, but then you got to go into the services years later. And
Roger Staubach.
They want to make money.
Yeah.
You don't want to go, and so they're limited to the players they get. Also, academically, there are schools that the kids have to go, so that's another kick. And, I think when you add all that in, it's tough to get people. I mean, they put out a decent product every year. Are they ever going to win it all? No. But, and I mean, it's like USC years ago when they had the great running backs. We're going to run the ball, stop us. Notre Dame's going to beat them. It's just whether or not they beat them by 21. I think they'll come out strong. And they have better athletes, obviously. But we'll see. I mean, this is what they do. I mean, to me, is it boring? Yeah. But when you're betting, you're looking for edges and you're looking for ways that you can make money. And for me, if Navy runs the ball a lot and it's raining, I wouldn't bet the over. I mean, USC's over 68 first game of the year. I mean, they got the quarterback who is just a stud, this kid, and he's already said he's a junior, and he said he might come back next year.
No, he's not coming back.
And already scouts have him as probably
Caleb Williams, a potential number one pick. You won't be seeing him around USC no more.
Not with that defense.
Unless he's got a Pink's hot dog in his hand and he's in the stands.
Let me tell you something. If the only reason he would go, I think, is because don't forget it, these deals these kids make, he'll make more as a quarterback as senior at USC than he will in his first rookie deal. But the reason I think he'll leave is because they're going to go to they're going to the Big Ten, and he's got to pay Michigan, Ohio State, and all those guys. But I mean, this kid's out in USC. He's the quarterback of the team, Heisman Trophy winner. He's got money probably just dropping in his pocket every day.
Oh, no, yeah.
No doubt about it. I mean, they had it, you mentioned the student body right, student body left teams of USC, which I had a chance to cover those squads when they had a series of great running backs, and they had good quarterback play. It wasn't like they couldn't throw the football, but, they were running behind like Anthony Munoz.
Yeah.
And guys of that caliber. So it wasn't too tough. And they were doing it with like O.J. Simpson, Charles White, Ricky Bell. I mean, you had some Marcus Allen. You had so many great running backs there that, that you couldn't stop it. I mean, there was just no way.
No, but I think college football's back. Next weekend's the big game. Next week, Lubie will have a pick for you for your team because it's a big game. Florida State playing LSU. The following week, you got Texas and you got Alabama. The thing that's great about college football, if you're a fan, is that, the kids graduate, new kids come in, but the rivalry and people get jacked up and they love it. Ticket sales, they said, are going through the roof for most campuses this year. Not that they didn't, but they're just higher. Sports betting, again, is bigger and bigger with people. And it's just, it's college football. We've been dying for some. I mean, the NFL Hall of Fame game had 6.6 million people watching it. That's more than the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, what I want to talk to you about? Did you hear Jerry Jones' comment about his defensive player who got caught speeding?
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I made a little note of that because, it gets very much into what we've been talking about. We were sort of touching on the mugshot of Donald Trump, where he makes this angry face, but it's kind of hard to take it seriously when the guy's got orange makeup caked on in a mugshot, which I have never seen. That's unprecedented.
His campaign is already selling those T-shirts for money.
But it's incredible. Yeah, probably with the the prison number there.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not lying. They're already selling makeup. It's just, but Jerry Jones does have a little Trump personality into him. Because
yes.
only him can make comments. that he makes about the guy. Like, well, last year he was going faster, so we're improving. I mean, it's
Maturity, yes. He had like guns and drugs, whatever, in the car, no problem. I mean, they let Jim Irsay get away with it. I guess it's no big deal. I mean, the guy was only, he said 30 miles over the speed limit. Not too bad.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But it's all about the money. If you can play and you can contribute, you know what? They're gonna extend the rules, or they're gonna let you get away with stuff. They've been doing this for 100 years, and it's gonna go on 100 years from now, whether it's college or pro. And that's the bottom line. People don't want to realize it. People listen. They go, "Oh, it's all about the money." Remember what I've been saying for years. Go to Publix tonight with a basket full of groceries. Go up to the register and say, "I don't have any money." See what they tell you. They kick you out. The booster, everybody. It's all about the money. It's all about it. And
we notice. I mean, we're seeing this with the Saudi defections, including. I mean, here's an odd one. I mean, the Women's Tennis Association (WTA). Now, I guess it's more than likely that they will play their championship event in Riyadh.
Oh God!
And you're thinking of all the places. I mean, it was one thing when they were represented by a cigarette sponsor, and you're thinking this is the antithesis of this whole thing about being outdoors playing tennis and getting your body in shape and feeling healthy. And they're going to suggest that you smoke cigarettes while you're doing this. But I mean, of all the places for a women's tour to be represented, Saudi Arabia, you would think would be the last place that they would ever want to go.
Because people don't care.
Right.
And that's what everybody wants to do, because everybody bullshits everybody and they don't say what's real. And it's just about the money. That's the way society is. I said this to my buddy last night. If somebody was offering you a car, right, and you're not in the market for a car, but if the price is so good, you say, I'm going to buy the car. And it's the same thing with these deals. Like, they're so good that people walk away, and you got your morals, and you're like, but you know what? I got American Express bill, I got my mortgage, my car payment. I can't write on the check morals.
No. Morality is not going to pay my way out of this old age. That's for sure.
Somebody called me, my drawer. A couple weeks ago, whatever it was, I have a watch. I think it's great. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to watch. I don't need a watch. Blah, blah. And then he tells you the price. You're like, wow, that's a pretty good deal. Maybe I'll take it. And that's what we're doing with that money. And Saudi Arabia, I mean, they got so much money. I mean, the difference is between Saudis. What is more, Saudis' money or the Kardashians dating NBA players?
Yeah.
Pretty close.
It might be the same amount of money in both. Yeah, you're right. Brooklyn Bobby was, Polyman's a pawn shop owner. Brooklyn Bobby was offering me some hot watches, and I thought about buying them, and then I thought I never get away with anything, so that would probably turn out to be a large mistake.
You're going down a different path. I didn't say these watches were hot. They were.
I just assumed they were, Greek. What are you talking about? Talking about a great price? That's usually secret lingo for the fact that somebody stole them.
No.
They somehow fell off a truck. That's great.
If the money is good enough for anybody, you're going to do it. And even like the women's tennis, like you say, they struggle to get sponsors. These guys come up and write a check. Did you hear the Greek freak last week? He said, I'll go over there when I retire and play.
Oh, yeah, he said it point blank.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see these guys. Oh, last week Harden sold 10,000 bottles of wine in 4 minutes in China.
Nice.
10,000 bottles of wine.
It sounds like what's in the fridge right now from my wife after her birthday. That's all that's in there, Greek. I wanted to make a tuna sandwich. There was nothing. I mean, forget about it. How do you feel about this? I mean, we need your opinion on this, because and not to weigh in on either political side, because I know you don't really like to dabble in this too heavily, but among mugshots, I mean, the all-time atrocious celebrity mugshots that stand out. Well, wouldn't Nick Nolte be number one on, or shouldn't it be on every list? Or can you think of any? I mean, they're putting up like Lindsay Lohan, Charlie Sheen. These guys didn't have that psychotic, crazed Jack Nicholson type of look on their face. Whereas Nolte, I think, took the all-time prize.
Yeah, I think without a doubt McNulty, but I think the most famous one was OJ when he was on the cover of Time.
Yep, that's true. Yep.
I mean, that one was unbelievable.
Some similarities there with the Trumpster stare and O.J. Simpson, although he had more of a stunned look of disbelief on his face that you talking to me? He had like a Travis Bickle look.
I mean, Trump will get elected president and he'll pardon himself. I think that's what he'll do.
Yeah.
Playing
A
roulette.
new variation of pardon the interruption.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll make Tony Kornheiser his vice president. So we're familiar with the terminology.
When if I'm driving or my buddy sends me stuff, I don't know if you follow him. My buddy will send me tweets with OJ, and
Yeah.
OJ it's just like, hey, Twitter world, talking about his fantasy football.
Oh yeah.
And,
Yes.
in Vegas, and like you got to think like the stones on him.
Oh yeah.
And we talked like you would think guy would just disappear.
Yes.
Go to Bahamas.
It's always been our suggestion.
Greece. Yeah, go to Greece, maybe be on a scooter. You never hear of him again. OJ's like, hey, Twitter world, who should I pick this week in quarterback? Mahomes? Or would you go with Rodgers?
I love when he gives a.
And you gotta feel for the Brown family, obviously, what they went through, and the kid, the kid who died.
Goldberg.
I mean, their parents must go through like, are you kidding me? And OJ always looks happy. He's got the hat on. He's
no, Fred Goldman, I mean, is the epitome of depicting the kind of agony you would feel.
Yeah, he went last week because the Raider guy who killed a person got 3 to 10 years. And OJ went on Twitter and goes, I'm just saying, they gave me more, and I didn't kill anybody.
No, I mean, if you think about it, the guy did kill a couple of people, got away with it, and then does 9 in a hook in Las Vegas, Nevada Penitentiary for stealing a rubber Heisman. That was his to begin with.
I know.
A rubber fucking Heisman trophy got this guy 9.5 years. That was amazing.
I know. It's payback. I mean, that's what that was about. That. And he said that it was the same court, it was the same judge, and everything like that. But I'm just saying, again, my point to you and Lubie is that he's out there doing that. When you talk about mugshot, still, he's one of the people in the last 25 years that you just remember all the time.
Oh,
and, it's like one of my buddies' kid, he was 25 years old. He was talking to me the other day, and he was like, Greek, I looked up some films of O.J. Simpson. He was pretty good, huh?
Yes.
And the kid didn't know, and I'm like, O.J. good? I said, he was it.
No, it's funny, guys. I was reminded a couple of nights ago, the Mustang was having a little birthday party. One of her friends was there, and she was telling me that she was there at Shea Stadium the day that O.J. and the electric company broke the 2,000-yard barrier.
Oh, wow.
For rushing. And I happened to be there, too, because I was selling souvenirs, and I remember seeing this. What was it? Reggie McKenzie was the guy that was leading the way, the lineman for the Bills.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's 50 years ago or whatever, but more than that, right? I mean, we're talking about, I had to be 15, 16 maybe. So yeah, you're talking 60 years ago. Incredible.
I was at the Knicks game in the NBA Finals, sitting courtside when the TV was on, and they went away from the NBA Finals.
Yes, that's right. What were the Rockets playing or something?
The Rockets and the Knicks in the finals. Yep.
Yeah. Rockets, Olajuwon, forget about it. Yeah, I remember where I was. I mean, most people do when they first saw the O.J. Chase unfold. I remember I was sitting in a bar. I was actually, I'd called some boxing out of town, and it was being replayed in the sports bar I happened to be in just arbitrarily. So I said, hey, let me check this out, see how this sounds. And all of a sudden, just as I was about to get into it and review my own work, here comes OJ with the white Bronco. And I got OJ in the back, and he's got a gun to his head. How could you, how could you possibly forget that? That was crazy stuff.
In the last 50 years. And it had every element of it. People still talk about it. And, just the stardom, the movie star, the Hollywood, the Lord, it was almost like a TV movie in so many ways. But my point of the whole thing is that I just can't believe he's on social media everywhere, and he always comes out and goes, "Hey, Twitter world."
But I mean, it's the same thing. There's a little bit of an element there with Trump, and I know intelligent people that still say, "Hey, I can't wait for this guy to be president again." And I'm thinking, of all the people in the universe, I mean, you'd rather have some dictator from a third world country come in here and be president than this guy, because it's already been proven that it's a disaster. So I don't know what they're possibly thinking. And in terms of at least you would have to have somewhat of a fisheye about the moral integrity and the actual direction that this guy was going in, as opposed to people thinking that he was doing this all out of benevolence for the fact that he loves America. I mean, that hardly seems to be the case.
Our society, where we are, what people think, the image, it's just life. I mean, I hear people talk about it a lot. And again, I'm not political. I don't care who's in office. I never did.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it's the greatest country in the world, but I'm not a political guy. But I see people have arguments with friends over this, and it's so.
They don't speak to each other after that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was social media. I was on a date with some girl, and she was like, "Can I answer your question?" I'm like, I thought she was going to say, "What's your real name?" She goes, "Did you vote for Trump?" I have to know. I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Give me."
That's the oddest of all, that women would ever vote for this guy. I mean, after the grab him by the pussy statement alone, you would think that and so many other stuff. Look, he's pounding some porn star while his wife's about to give birth. I mean, not exactly the kind of guy that you would think most chicks would find favorable in terms of his overall outlook on women.
What about his statement? I think it was one of the craziest statements in the last 100 years when he said, "I could go on Madison Avenue and shoot somebody."
Yeah, he's right, though. He's true. It's true.
Good. Yes.
Well, actually, in New York, you can do that. I mean, even if you're a homeless bum with a machete, you could go there, stab somebody, and they let you go the next day. It's great.
Yeah, crazy stuff. But then Vanderbilt, and Notre Dame in New Mexico.
Right,
okay, you say Notre Dame first half or outright to cover the 20 and a hook?
I like them first half, and depending on the weather. So I don't know the weather. So if it's raining, then I think
assume it's going to be lousy, my friend. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. Very good. Very good, Greek. All right. Thanks so much. Always a pleasure, my friend. The Greek, ladies and gentlemen. The professor coming up. We'll get into a little big board with the professor, and no doubt, I would imagine he has some serious ideas about what's going to happen this first week of the college football season. Although he kind of was saying, hasn't he kind of stated that he didn't think this was the greatest card?
No, the card sucks. I mean, no one's saying the card is good, but it's real football, and the games count.
Yes.
So, and you have a team like USC playing, so you can see what they do versus scrub team. You have Notre Dame playing with their new quarterback overseas. You have some Power 5 presence out there that's interesting. And then there's a game, I think Ohio he likes, which is an actual solid game.
Ohio is playing San Diego State.
That's the game. San Diego State last year was actually
2 and a hook. San Diego State,
and Ohio is supposed to be vastly improved. So that's a game he actually likes, and I think he'll talk about and break down. But no, the card sucks. But it's real games. It's not this preseason bullshit. It's not camp.
No, Notre Dame always draws interest, especially since they had such struggles early in the year last year, then came on very strongly, and the coach seems like the kind of guy that you can root for, even if you despise Notre Dame.
Yeah,
and if you hated Aaron Parsegian and all of his sanctimonious proclamations about running up the score in the Miami game, when he was putting 70 spots on Rice, as a matter of routine, and leaving his starters in there in the fourth quarter to rack up all kinds of statistics so they might be able to win postseason awards. It was such ugliness. I don't think there's any other way to put it. But we will always, if you were a University of Miami fan, I mean, you can't possibly even have the faintest. I don't know. I know he sent. Didn't one of his kids go there? Tony Segreto. Is that why he's a Notre Dame fan?
Notre Dame. His daughter went to FSU. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, then that's is that semi-understandable? Or even though his son attended the school, should he not despise Notre Dame just for their whole position on the University of Miami series that they decided to advocate?
Then I think he was involved in one of the programs. He was actually pretty active. So I think that's what got him sucked in, being there at games and stuff like that. So I give him
convicts and the Catholics. I mean, that was a little bit of a.
It was a joke, but I give him a
flattering description of the series and what it amounted to. What do you think?
I guess we're going to reprieve when your money goes to a certain institution. I hate UF with a passion. God forbid one of my kids goes there, but if they do, it'll be hard for me to say fuck UF.
I hope I live long enough to see this, Lubie. You with a little gator hat on,
make me sick to my stomach,
like a gator bill.
It would really be painful.
In the stands there, rooting Jose Lubitz, your son. Great. All right, we're coming back with the professor here on the Defo Show at Degenerate Friday. The Greek, very passionate about the college football season. Normally the Greek is like, you know what? I'm making money right and left, but I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple of bucks on this. And when he says a couple of bucks, I mean, he's not kidding around. Neither is the professor. Very solid college football player. So looking forward to our conversation with the professor. That's coming up in just a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:51.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Are we all in stable but critical condition? Is that the way all life is, Lubie? In a general, more figurative sense? Would you say you're in stable but critical condition? I believe you are right now.
Probably.
On the threshold of getting married in the early portion of 2021. Don't you think it's a little soon, kid? You barely notice woman. What are you doing?
We've been together 4 years.
Well, I guess you know enough.
How much longer do you want her to put up with me?
Is it you that's pushing for this?
It's equal. We're both very happy and in love. It's very gross.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's a foreign concept. You have to understand where I'm coming from. 0 for 2 with a walk. And, right now I think I got a 3-2 count in marriage number 3. But, and only because of the benefit of a really poor call on a ball that was clearly right down the middle of the plate. One of those Angel Hernandez calls. Hey, get out of here.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
All right, the professor a little late to the party here, according to Mike Lubie-Lubitz. In fact, is there no line of contact with the professor as we speak?
I saw him yesterday. He was all in to join us, so we'll see.
It's a sure sign he might be in need of a standing 8 count. How late did you stay at your Landlubbers Trivia competition?
He was home before 9. I mean, there was no games.
Oh, yeah? You run right out of there?
Yeah, we're done at 8, and I get home by 8:30, and he's home by 9. I mean, there wasn't any games last night that I know of. I don't think there were. Was there any? I don't think there was any action.
Not much action last night. I mean, I was watching some of the coverage. After a while, it's paralysis by analysis. You can only take so many former U.S. attorneys giving you their opinion on what's going to happen in these various cases against the former president of the United States. So hoping to become president again. I didn't see anything. I tell you what, it didn't look like there were any serious challengers there in that Republican debate. Did there, Lubie?
Oh, here he is.
If this Ramaswamy guy is the leader among Republican voters to be the possible candidate, if the Trumpster isn't it, then, I mean, you talk about sending the clowns. All right, good. We have found a professor.
We found him.
Comes to us under the cover of darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, not high quality this week. Seem to have lost the webcam, so we got to use the crappy internal computer webcam this week. So it's not that great.
It's cool, though. It's a degenerate silhouette, if you will.
Yeah, there you go.
When they got me that day,
It was Trump all along. Okay, we conceal the identity of the professor, who is going to reveal things that even Jack Smith is unaware of. All right, how are you doing, Professor? You're coming off a nice night out there with Lubie. How'd that go?
I don't know. It was entirely a nice night because I was with Lubie, but
Yeah, that might tend to taint things a little bit. But there was no FSU game on, or no game where you had suggested maybe put $5 on it, and then he was completely insane the entire time while you were looking at possibly eating 5,000.
I mean, that's happened a time or two. Yeah, I mean, I don't know recently, but yeah, that's been the case a few times. I actually, but Lubie really is not a goer. Like Lubie is not an action guy for hanging around this crew as much. You really think we would have provided a worse influence to Lubie over the years?
We've done everything we can.
Than we really have actually been.
If he's not gambling like a maniac now,
right? Like I'm not sure I've ever seen Lubie buy a scratch off. To come to think of it,
no way.
Oh, I stay away from those. I have no luck with any of that kind of stuff.
I know, but I'm saying like I've seen you do just about. I've seen you,
Whatever there is to bet on, I
pretty much.
I live by my philosophy.
Generally trying to think of the most insane thing I've seen you place a bet on, and there's really the list is just too long.
When we started betting golf, it seemed a little bit bizarre.
I just remember them being late for the wedding. I just remember the Duke and him being down there, and Visser Mama, the Stang, and your mom going, "Where the fuck is Defo?" And like they were all set up. The preacher was there, or whatever the fuck you had, and everyone was ready, and the music was going, and we're like, "Where the fuck is Defo?" And he and the Duke were yelling at a TV with Big Rich in the back. Like, where do you think Defo is?
We had a 13-10 exact. I'll never forget. It came in, all of us. So we all hit as we.
Wait, you had a TV because it was during the tournament, and
we were downstairs. They were at the goddamn sports book.
We were in the sports book at Caesars.
In the goddamn chapel. And you came with me. We had to go find them because they couldn't.
Oh, you're talking about Defo's wedding. I thought you meant your wedding, Lubie.
Not the Lubie wedding. Yeah,
there was no TVs on my wedding.
Lubie wedding. We were swatting mosquitoes with a fungo bat. What are you talking about?
For my wedding, Defo's wedding, where literally his own fucking wedding. You and I had to go find him because everyone was waiting for him, and he was with the Duke. He corrupted the Duke and Big Rich. And we
I did not corrupt the Duke or Big Rich. Big Rich has been corrupted, but he was corrupted.
Oh, that sounds completely accurate. I do remember at one point during the reception dinner, like everybody getting up because Big Rich had a tip on a goddamn UFC fight. So 4 people got up to go get to the book to bet the tip.
Yeah, I'm betting a crime dog at minus 135. It's like, who's a crime dog? I don't know. I thought he was in a commercial. It was a degenerate gathering, though. You didn't have to encourage the Duke to bet. I mean, this guy took down the Cambodian dealer named Fu for about 10 dimes.
And then the next day during the Super Bowl, like Lubie's giving the Duke the finger to his face. Duke's bet like $5,000 on the Panthers.
Might have been 10, yeah.
And Lubie jumps up and fuck you.
Lubie had $10
because I was saying because he had $35 on the Broncos
at minus 150. No, they were underdogs.
Yeah,
we were the underdog.
That was great. Well, no, I mean the audacity of it too. I mean, you talk about Trumpian type of approach. I mean, not only is he giving the Duke the raspberry about the fact that his team is losing, but he is eating at the palm on the Duke's dime and slobbering down like a 5-pound lobster. I mean, he looked like that ad for the Rosewood Grill. Was that the name of the place where the guy was in the tuxedo? Exactly. I don't know if you were in Vegas when they had those signs. They were on like every bus stop. And it was like the Rosewood Grill. It was on the Strip. It was, I mean, it's since been knocked down and it's probably part of some new elaborate casino. But and it had a guy in a tuxedo, and he was holding the 2 giant lobsters. Lubie was eating like one with each hand also.
Like mayo.
Shell and all. I mean, and it's like, sorry, Duke. Can you believe that? Another fumble. I told you this guy sucked. Unbelievable.
Oh, he did.
All right, how you feeling about the college football card coming up tomorrow?
I mean, it's not a great card, but there are a couple of really nice spots on it, or I think they're pretty nice spots. So, for week 0, it could be worse. You get 2 games that are there to be fired at. Overall, I actually saw a list the other day of the top 10 out of conference games of the year, and I was looking at it, and I was like, the list probably is not wrong. But, I get it. It was the top 10 games of the year for college out of conference. One of them, I think, was number 7, was Tulane and Ole Miss. So Tulane game's one of the top 10. I'm like, actually, it's probably in the top 10. And then another listed was like North Carolina and South Carolina, who they were both 500 last year.
Oh, Jesus.
I think Texas A&M and Miami were on that list. Like last place in the SEC West, and 4th place in the ACC. I mean, it's not an exciting out of conference schedule this year that we're finishing on. Really, the playoff has kind of killed out of conference football, which, unfortunately kills the first couple of weeks.
All right. That being said, I love betting against Notre Dame. I despise Notre Dame, like a lot of people in South Florida do, and I guess you could say that many people around the country do. And yet, are they not still far and away the most popular team in America? With even
I
Georgia
don't know
winning
about
back-to-back
far and away,
championships,
but
Alabama. What do you think?
they're probably still there's a few teams that have. I will tell you, I think for all that, you can't go anywhere in life without meeting goddamn Ohio State fans, and they are like
That's true,
locals.
and they're annoying, aren't
Really
they?
annoying, yes.
Yes.
Because they all want to wear the gear and they all want to talk about their team, and they all want. I might go with Ohio State as the most popular, or maybe just like the most omnipresent. Because everywhere you go, particularly if there's a game on, there's some goddamn Ohio State fan sitting around waiting to annoy you.
No, I remember, here we are, sort of taking shots at these golfers and all of these athletes taking the Saudi money, but it was the same thing. I felt a little filthy when I used to do these appearances at Brews Room in Margate when Bob Brzezinski first opened that place, and you had to go along with all the Ohio State fans. Of course, he was a Buckeye that were in there, and what is it? Is it "Hang On, Sloopy"? What is their song? "Sweet Caroline." What are they all? They break into a chorus of some Neil Diamond song, I believe.
It's "Hang On, Sloopy."
Is it?
Yeah.
Ohio State? Yeah, "Hang On, Sloopy" is Ohio State.
"Hang On, Sloopy." Okay.
Which is an annoying song, right? Like
that's
completely annoying. And here I am despising Ohio State, secretly seething that they scored. And, because I'm taking Brzezinski's money, I'm like, "Hang on, Sloopy. Sloopy, hang on." Da-da. And like, hey, look at that. Defo's a Buckeye fan. How about that? That was $300.
I honestly didn't know you had done that. That might be a little excessive, if I'm being honest.
Shouldn't I just be like bowing down to the sheik at this point?
Yeah.
All right. This Notre Dame game, though, how do you feel about the triple option offense? Should it be banned from college football, or
why would we ban that from college football? Are you trying to say something about the military academies, Defo, since they're the only schools left that really play that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you got Georgia Tech,
You're
right?
talking shit about America's finest.
I mentioned this earlier, and it baffles me. And
Georgia Tech doesn't run the option anymore. That was Paul Johnson. He's gone.
Oh, they don't run the option?
No.
Okay.
Jeff Collins is their coach.
All right, very good. So that's it, right? We have what? Navy and Army? They're the only two.
And Air Force.
Air Force runs it also? Because Lubie says he makes it sound like they got Don Coryell coaching the team there.
They used to pass the ball a lot. They changed it because
they haven't passed the ball since like the 90s.
Really? Oh,
yeah, they're flex bone.
I understand that no quarterback that thought he had pro potential would want to, potentially have to sit out 5 years before he got to his pro career after going to college. But you can't find one guy in the service academies that can throw the fucking ball.
I don't think it's that. I think it's actually the offensive lineman. You have to cut block because you cannot get Division I AA size linemen for the most part at the service academies. The Air Force, for example, there's a height and weight limit for the Air Force Academy because you're there to learn how to fly in planes, a lot of which are designed for, Tom Cruise size people. That's the one, And, the Navy, obviously, there are ships. There's built-in beds. Like most NFL offensive linemen aren't fitting in a submarine, for example. So
what about Trump at 215? Could he make it into one of these situations?
Right. What
did you think of that number? Was that a bad line?
That may come
up
later. That might be a subject today.
All right, we'll have to get to it too because we still have a lot of ground to cover here on the show. All right, so give us a couple of selections and then we'll get into the big
I
point.
think one of the interesting things we're going to see in these first couple of weeks, Defo, is the new clock rule in the NCAA.
Okay.
For those who do not know, the clock is no longer going to stop after first down. It's going to be essentially a running clock, just like the NFL, until the last 2 minutes of a half. The most estimates I've seen, this is obviously an effort because, once again, television times are running a little long to speed games up. Most estimates I've seen say this is going to be equal to 2.5 to 3 drives per game total.
Wow, total drive.
So roughly 2.5 to 3 less possessions per game. These new Clackers. The last time the NCAA tried something similar was a little over 10 years ago. I want to say 2012, might have been 2011. That year, the whole first 4 weeks of the season, we saw a flood of unders. I think we're probably going to see a lot of unders again as books figure out exactly new reality. And that leads us to Ohio and San Diego State, which comes in at a total of 49, which we're definitely going under. You got the Aztecs. They have become one of the worst passing offenses in the entire country, particularly on the West Coast. They're one of the most run-heavy team. And they play good defense, played good defense on both sides of the ball. Ohio, historically, actually, far and away the most run-heavy team in the MAC. They did have more balance last year, but I think they'll go back actually to a running game this year. I look for that clock to run a lot in this game. So I would imagine we're going to come in not just under 49, but well under 49. Most projections I had figure this game to come in somewhere around the 40 mark. So under 49, San Diego State and Ohio would be game number one. And game number two, 7:30, Hawaii going to Vanderbilt. Hawaii getting 17.5 from Vanderbilt. I think this line is mostly based on the first game of last season where Vandy went out to Hawaii, with Hawaii really having a total makeover at the beginning of last year. Vandy went out, got a cover, very impressive running the ball throughout the course of the game. Then came home and looked like Vandy the rest of the year, only going 4-7 against the spread. Hawaii, on the end, really, Coach Tim Chang did a good job of turning a program that was a complete disaster around. Hawaii had really become a dumpster fire going into last year. Chang did a really good job. Obviously, the transfer portal helped them a lot there. I don't know if this is something he could have accomplished a few years ago. But by the end of the season, Hawaii looked like a pretty competitive football team. And in a really unusual number for Hawaii, 4 out of 5 covers in their last 5 on the mainland last year, which is usually not a thing you see with the Rainbow Wars. Add in the fact 7:30 is a kind of a late start time here that sort of neutralizes that jet lag factor you have Hawaii. Also, it's hard not to see Hawaii being in an emotional spot given the disaster, obviously, that happened on the island just a couple of weeks ago. And, the Rainbow Warriors have always been kind of a source of pride for the island. So I would not be surprised to see a Hawaii team kind of flying high. I actually expect them to be in this game all the way. Wouldn't be shocked if it's a one-score game either way in the fourth quarter. At plus 17.5, I think Hawaii's a steal here.
The blowout illusion theory there, where the blowout of last year was a bit of an illusion. And so 17 and a hook with Hawaii. Professor, 2 very strong plays here to start us out on the college football bandwagon that we hope to ride to a great glory and profit throughout the year. All right, Professor, you kind of hinted a little bit at where the big board might be going. I don't know if that's going to be just one component of it. Where we're
trying right here. There we go. We're going to see if we can load this for us. Hold on one second, guys.
Your brightness is improving as you're doing that. I don't know if that's just a reflection off the screen, but all of a sudden you're looking, like you're not.
Okay, let's try this. Tell me, can you see that?
We see your face so far.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I'm trying the share screen thing. It's supposed to be working here.
All right. Lubie's hitting buttons. You're hitting buttons.
Lubie, can you see the big board? Because we obviously don't have the webcam this week.
The lighting so far looks like a Vincent Price movie.
Is this what you're trying?
There it is. Big board of heights and weights. Oh, nice.
You want that?
As reported by
what
Donald Trump.
We're going to have to use this week because we don't have the webcam. Sorry, folks.
Okay.
But obviously, after not just a general controversy, but a gambling controversy, because several websites online had put up an over-under of Donald Trump at 6'1", at 245 pounds, and I believe it was 6'1.5". Well, on the weight at 245, people bet so over that the number went from 245 to 275 over the course of the gambling day, only to find out that Donald Trump did not actually weigh in. He had his people weigh him in, and it was at 215 pounds, which just seems maybe like a bit of a suspicious number, maybe a thumbs on the scale. But we thought we would review it and go over some other measurements as defined by one Donald Trump. He's 6'3", 215-pound.
Yeah,
Donald
215.
Trump.
Svelte 215 at 6'3". Pretty incredible.
So we'll start with number 5, and that's the very normal size, 6 foot, even 200-pound Mark Wahlberg, who in no way, like this picture taken at the Oscar a few years ago, is actually a lollipop kid who's somehow several inches shorter than his 5'8" wife. He's a very normal and very manly 6 feet tall. Don't
Yes.
believe what you might have heard in some other reports, or, like I said, a picture taken at the Oscars.
It's kind of like Harold Miner, right? Being listed at, was he listed at 6'3"?
Like 6'4". I think
6'4", 6'5", something like that.
Like,
And
5'10".
I was standing next to him, interviewing him after he got drafted by the Heat, and I'm taller than this guy.
And that takes us to number 4, which is one Donald Trump personally knows, because Donald Trump has spent a lot of time with this man, is a big supporter of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And that is 6'1", 195-pound former New Jersey General quarterback Doug Flutie.
He ain't 6'1".
Who, despite the lies of the fake news media, who has spread stories about Doug Flutie being short for a number of years, is 6'1" and in no way needs male enhancement from a fake product sold by Frank Thomas. Not only is Doug Flutie of above average height, he's also very robust in terms of testosterone. Any
veritable
reports
John Holmes,
otherwise are clearly just lies created by the fake news media.
Is any of that sparked by the fact he finished his career with the Patriots?
No.
His
Sparked by
inclusion
the
on
fact
this
that he
list.
gave a goddamn mega endorsement speech to Herschel fucking Walker.
Yeah. Rather unfortunate political position for the well-liked Doug Flutie to take.
Well-liked and very tall Doug Flutie, who's there's no way.
He's like 5'5". I think I'm taller.
Would you serve Flutie Flakes at the Foundry by any chance?
There's in no way a midget with erectile dysfunction problems.
We met him in person multiple times.
Very manly, very tall Doug Flutie.
Yeah,
He's
strange
tall.
cat.
He's not tall.
Number 3, another athlete Donald Trump has a lot of personal experience with. He was part of the very famous WrestleMania that Donald Trump was a part of just a few years ago, and also has a very normal type of body size, very much in line with Donald Trump, and that is professional wrestler Umaga, who, as you can see, 6'3" and 225 pounds.
Nice. 225.
Little bit heavier than the Trumpster.
Hello.
Just a couple of pounds, 10 pounds. But as you can see, a very normal, average size, 225-pound man. Right in line with the American average professional wrestler, Umaga. Which, if you take away the U, it's just MAGA. So really,
yeah, fitting. Yeah.
Vince McMahon knew about it years and years ago, that not only would there be a name similarity, but of very similar size.
Yes, yes.
Very similar, normal fighting trim, 225 pounds. But we don't want to insult Donald Trump. And I think he probably took it a little personally with that 245-pound number. So we wanted to give you a display of, of what they were comparing Donald Trump to. Clearly, Donald Trump is not a man of that size. So we wanted to give you someone at that 245-pound mark, which is number 2, 6'2", 245 pounds, Vince Wilfork. Former Patriot, former Texan Hall of Famer, Vince Wilfork. 6'2", 245 pounds. The size they were saying of former President Trump.
Which,
of course, now you can see looking at him, Vince Wilfork is a notably larger man than Donald Trump. So 245. So 215 sounds about right.
Yes, definitely. If he's 245.
If you're going by that, yes.
Yeah,
the Wilfork factor.
Yeah.
And if you're rating weight on a curve, which I think it should be graded on a curve, no?
And then finally, that takes us to number 1, which Donald Trump's people wanted to give us a person who actually is 300 pounds, just as an example of what it looks like. And that is athlete number 1, Shaquille O'Neal, who, of course, is 9 feet, 3.5 inches, and 300 pounds even. So those who are speculating that Donald Trump is 300 pounds, Donald Trump is clearly not anywhere near 300 pounds.
A svelte shack.
Shaquille
Yes.
O'Neal,
He's
9 foot 3.5-inch tall. Shaquille O'Neal
Oh my God, that's great.
is 300 pounds.
Holy crap.
And
Yeah.
sorry again for the presentation this week. We'll be back next week. I'll go get a new webcam. But that is, in fact, our big board this week.
Excellent stuff. All right, where will you be positioned? I saw somebody mention on the Mike Mayo Facebook page there. Let's Eat South Florida that the Foundry was a great place to catch college football action on a Saturday.
I
The
think
Foundry.
that's an excellent idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someplace I would go for some college football. No, I think it actually is. I really like our brunch. So if you want to come out and root for Navy, go Navy, beat Notre Dame. I think that would be or even come catch some of the nighttime action if you're not a brunch person. Although, again, I kind of recommend the brunch. I dig our brunch. So
Saturday and Sunday. Available?
Saturday and Sunday.
Foundry on Atlantic Boulevard.
Come
right
out
by the
and
bridge.
have a practice week this week for week 0. And then
Yes.
when week 1 rolls around, the real start of college football season next year, you will be prepared. And we can probably even find some NFL preseason action on the TV somewhere for you. Although this year that's kind of harder to find, right? Like I only find games on the NFL
Network. Amazon, I guess, carried a game last night.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they carried Anthony Richardson's fantastic 6 for 17 performance for all those Gator fans out there. For all those people,
going to be the starter. They're going to be
all
a lot
those
of
scouts who were telling, including a couple local media figures who got into it with me and Lubie on Twitter last year, were telling me, "Oh no, he's like the Black Josh Allen." No, he's like
what?
He's like Jamarcus Russell.
Yes, he's a good kid, but
when did accuracy ever count? Right. Parallel to the political scene. When did the truth ever matter?
Exactly.
Yeah. Professor, great stuff as always. Tremendous take there on the Donald Trump 215 stated weight.
Can I just ask, who the fuck?
Isn't that like stated income on those?
Come on, 215.
215.
Who the fuck do you think you're fooling? Like honestly, 215. I'm not even trying to get into the politics of it. Like,
no, it's just
you can like
it's
the
a great
man
one.
as much as you want.
Yeah.
Is there anybody on earth who thinks he's anywhere close to 215?
You're asking yourself, when was he 215?
Yeah, like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, 215.
Maybe when he was hanging out with Hefner, did he ever
I
weigh
liked
215?
it because that means, and I have tried over the years, that means I got down well beneath 200 pounds for the first time since I was in like the 8th grade. So, I mean, I'm totally cool with Donald getting the 215 because now next time to see the doctor, go, oh yeah, I'm 170. But
on what scale that he could
215?
step on?
Who the hell? Who is believing that?
But then he's like 5'9". Then he's not 3. That's for fucking sure.
Unbelievable.
I mean, really. I mean, I guess it's one of those, like, if you're just gonna lie, just really fucking lie about it.
Yeah.
But come on, 215.
You don't even see women wearing that much makeup in a mugshot when they know they're getting arrested in advance. So it's I'm sure he was the only guy that ever had that much makeup caked on that was having his picture taken at the Fulton County Courthouse there, whatever that.
Yeah,
jail.
I'm going to be curious. Obviously, it was a self-reported 215, and they took the number. I'll be curious to see what the books who actually took that bet do with it.
Yeah, what do you do with
just
that?
Such
That's
like a ridiculously blatant lie.
Yes.
I think you got to kind of call it a no bet if you're the books.
No, all bets are up. Yeah.
I'm guessing they were probably circled at like $100 or $500 at most. So it's a gimmick bet to begin with. But I would be generally curious to see what ends up being the result of that.
Yeah, because don't you need an official? Like, there's nothing. Him reporting it isn't like it's like with the anthem. Like, you guys wait. It's not what we clock on our fucking watch. There's an official time. Like, no official weight came out yet. Like, there's not an official.
No, unless he stepped on a scale there in front of a non-interested party or.
I don't think, honestly, even an interested party is going to go for that.
Yeah.
Like, if that's your job, I don't care how big a fan of President Trump. You could be the biggest.
You couldn't write that number down.
You're not going to be like, dude, I can't. I love you, Mr. President, but
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, a 250. All right, I'll take that.
Yeah. We'll do 250. Like, I don't got to put the 3 bills on the number. Which
and how did Jack Smith
I'm not a
charge
small
him with
dude. I've been
perjury?
there. Look, I'm not a small dude. I have been there myself. Nobody likes putting that digit on.
No, no.
Nobody likes starting things with the 3. I mean, look, I have fought the battle of the bulge myself most of my life. I get it, but come on.
This is a
Like,
guy that,
you could have you really could have just gone 250 and nobody would have.
Nobody would have said 245. People would have, maybe, accepted that. It's a guy that needs a seatbelt extender on his own plane.
Exactly.
Come on. He's already had this thing custom designed. All right. Thanks, Professor. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for being with us here on a Degenerate Friday.
You guys have a great one, Dave.
All right, we'll do. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen. Shaq at 300.
I love that 9 feet.
People talk about this with regard to points, but I can't believe this number. Can you believe it? They're giving the Canes 27 points. But 215 on the Trump weight. I thought that was the most sensational thing that I've never mind Giuliani with their shit dripping down his face, or any of these Marjorie Taylor Greene making bizarre statements about how such injustice is being done. For the guy to claim that he weighed 215, how could you ever have any credibility ever again? Ever.
Well, Ken said it. It's like, if you're going to lie, he's like, fuck it. I might as well say 190.
Height unknown, weight unknown,
exactly.
Hometown, parts unknown.
Exactly.
Why didn't he just list that as his hometown while he was at it? Put down he's from parts unknown. Oh, God. I mean, if it wasn't so, you can't make this shit up, can you?
Not no way.
215. Andy says even Melania was cracking up on it.
It's like 215.
I mean, I don't know that I believe that Haystacks Calhoun weighed 601 his entire career. That seemed kind of odd. I mean, 600 if you were going to round it off, 587. But supposedly, I mean, every time he weighed in at 601 pounds. Now, he did have that little horseshoe around his neck. That was it. Otherwise, he was pretty much stark naked, this guy. You remember the late, great Haystacks Calhoun by any chance?
Oh, yeah. I never visibly watched
Calhoun, I mean, legendary. Up there with any of the greats, San Martino, Killer Kowalski, any of the great wrestlers of all time. And, he could never lose that 1 pound, but he didn't shy away from the idea that 601 was his actual weight. But Trump makes, Haystacks Calhoun looks felt, doesn't he? Pretty much. When you see those shots of him, especially at the golf course, I guess he has the suits designed so they're kind of tent-like. So it doesn't really emphasize the fact that this guy's just flat out fat, is he not?
Yes. Again, I'm not trying to.
You don't see him taking shots at Chris. No, he would. He has the audacity. He'd be poking fun at Chris.
Yes, that's why I don't feel bad. Look, again, I'm not trying to fat shame. But
what's Christie? 215 also?
Yeah. His is the man that makes fun of everyone for any reason whatsoever. So I don't feel bad calling him out for honest numbers.
215, he would be a strapping hulk of a human being. He would be ready to line up and play, safety for the Jets. What are you talking about? 215. That was the most cockamamie number, but it's kind of like, I guess he measures his weight the same way he counts votes.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy Oprah Winfrey! What are we looking at there? That was a real discrepancy. Now the sports books they can't possibly. That has to be a no bet. No, I mean even if he had been at a Don King weigh-in, there's no way he comes back 215.
Well, that's the thing is and there wasn't an official weight. This is just self-reported. Like self-reported can't matter when it comes to a bet.
No, and if you're a fat guy or you weigh a lot, you're always gonna shrink that number down. 215 though is a bit of an absurd stretch of the imagination. Sure. Right? I mean, who can you think of? I mean, it was like 215. Well, was Smoking Joe Frazier 215 when he stepped into the ring against Ali?
No idea.
215. And he was half the size of Donald Trump in terms of mass, although he did have some muscle. All right, we're coming back. The great Mark Lawrence going to join us here. Yes. We'll get some insight into what's going on. College football, some plays, legit plays here as the regular season's getting underway in week 0. And also maybe look at a couple of preseason games in the NFL as the final week of the NFL is on tap. And we'll be back with that. Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com in a moment. Now that. The time, 8:25. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Mark Lawrence. Burial last night with the hook, the dagger right there in the small of my back. That hook did me in again. I should know better. What would happen to you? We've asked you this before. If you actually were giving points in a ball game, would you be able to live with yourself or look yourself in the mirror the next day?
I would probably be ordering my last meal at the same time.
There is nothing better than Defo. It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday, and we do have the onset of the first week of the college football season. It's known as Week 0. Hopefully you won't be coming away with 0 in your bank account after betting the action. We had a couple of plays from the professor earlier. He liked the under in the San Diego State game, San Diego State and Ohio, under 49. And also gave us what? Gave us Hawaii, getting 17.5 over Vanderbilt. In that game, a little reversal of form from a year ago. Vanderbilt, god-awful team, but they did go to Hawaii and shellac. What is the nickname for the University of Hawaii?
The Rainbow? Isn't it the Rainbow?
Rainbow? Okay. I was going to say the Pineapples, but that could only get you in trouble, right? Well, what are you talking about? You call them a bunch of pineapple heads. No, I never said that. But a professor said take the 17 and a hook. And I would imagine if he was going to take a position on this game, that would be the side that he would be on. We welcome to the show Mark Lawrence of PlaybookSports.com. Mark, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing just terrific, guys. I hope you're doing well and looking forward to this new 2023 football season.
Yes. Good morning.
Do you notice any change in your overall inner being as actual games are like 24 hours away? I mean, does it have any impact on your psyche or your soul?
Really a good question. It's like a Dr. Jennifer Melfi question. And
yeah. How do you feel about that, Mark?
I feel a lot of anticipation is what I feel. And it's really good to have football season back. And next week we'll be jumping into the deep water, but we get a nice little test this weekend. So really looking forward to it.
All right. Is there any basic approach that you, I mean, we know you're going to take all underdogs this year, as you always do, but is there any basic philosophy, any kind of wisdom that you can impart to the general public out there, especially since there are a lot of new people getting involved in this whole wagering adventure, if you will? Anything in general that you would suggest to people, especially when playing college football?
Well, with college football, I think, there's one important thing to note that Week 1, Game 1 favorites of 30 or more points do extremely well. They just crush.
Okay.
It means you don't get sucked into that, that big, ugly-looking dog, which sometimes I get accustomed to, but let them go the first week. Let them have their way, those 30-point or larger favorites.
Temple, Ohio State. You're going Ohio State, something like that. If that's the matchup.
Well, I'm not.
He's
Yeah.
not doing it
Well,
because
it
he's
is.
Mark
I'm
Lawrence.
not going. Yeah.
Oh, you're not going. Period. Yeah.
He can go at all.
No, but you're saying that in essence, those teams usually prevail. So stay away from it if
Yeah.
you're a long shot player. That's for sure. Did you get involved in any of the action? I mean, there's action on everything now, Mark Lawrence. But the over under on the Trump weight. Did you get in on that? And what do you make of the 215?
Well, is the Trump weight because he looks like he appears to have lost weight? Is what you're saying?
No, he had to weigh in yesterday when he got arrested. This is what I love. I mean, and there was a over/under prop originally opened up at 245, what he was going to weigh, because supposedly they weigh all of the people as part of the procedure, and so we thought there was a thought he was going to get on a scale with somebody that was going to give you an honest count, but he had a self-stated weight of 215, which seems impossible.
A self-stated weight of 215. That just more or less says about the man everything you need to know.
That's what we were saying. That's exactly what we were saying.
Yeah, I mean, a bloated Shaq with the heat, would have said he was 215, and it would have been more believable. The professor just pointed out that Vince Wilfork was listed at 245.
That's a good analogy. That's a good
Yeah. I mean, when he had to be like 325 if he was a pound. All right. So you weren't too heavily involved in the Trump over/under on the weight situation, because it seemed like it would have to be taken off the board there. That all bets would be refunded after the stated weight was given as the official number. All right, where are we going with college football, Mark Lawrence? We do have Notre Dame out there against Navy. USC is in one of those situations that you were talking about with San Jose State, where they're favored by 30 or more, 30 and a hook I have on that line. And so some other games, I guess 9 games in total. Anything that strikes your fancy?
Yeah, we're gonna roll with the Navy this week in Dublin, Ireland. The first game to kick off the college football season, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, you have the Irish in Dublin right now, and to me, it's a lot like a homecoming football game. And what you do is you fade those double-digit favorites in homecoming football games, largely because of the distraction factor. They're hosting family, they're hosting friends, they're going to dinner, they're doing everything but focusing on the game. Notre Dame goes to Dublin, they're doing the players much the same thing. And in Navy, you've got a highly disciplined football program, and just as important, military dogs. Whenever you can find a military dog taking 20 or more points, that's like, they're always good anyway, military dogs, but with 20 or more points, that's like handing a loaded gun to Alec Baldwin. They're terrific.
Go ahead and fire, yeah.
Yeah, they just go off. Exactly.
Does
right.
this come under the Alec Baldwin theory then?
They just go
Well,
off.
we'll make it the Alec Baldwin theory. Yeah.
Okay.
They just go off.
We're going Baldwin on this one.
Oh my God, that's great.
I mean, I'm looking at it. Just even the over/under on that game is fairly low, so nobody's anticipating much scoring coming from Navy. And at 49, so you're thinking if Navy does anything in that game by at least the analytics that they calculated this over/under total on, then it's going to be hard to cover 21 points.
Well, in games like that, situations you have low totals and high point spreads.
Yeah.
If you look at your underdog, he only has to score a certain amount of points. Where
one TD, yeah,
exactly right. That and the total, you basically can't lose 2 bets if they reach a certain total in the football game. So you'd have that working for Navy as well. So that's generally the case when you find those games where big totals, small totals and a large amount of points. That's the way you want to go. You want to play that particular game and play the dog in that particular contest along with the under.
And how much? Should people be even more aware? A couple of guys have mentioned this today on the show, the Week and the Professor. This change in college football when it comes to totals, especially, where there are going to be less plays because they don't stop the clock on first downs anymore.
Yeah, we're going to find that being quickly adjusted to this weekend, next week, and after the first dust is settled, after the first full week, week 0, week 1. If these games end up reflecting a change in those totals, the way that they've made that rule change, you're going to find the odds makers adapting quickly. Now, when they do things like that, it's kind of good to get in on it right away because they'll sift out, and by the end of the season, they'll have made all their adjustments. But sometimes there's knee jerks when things happen like that, and they over adjust. So let's wait and see what happens after next week, week 1, and see how those totals work out, and we'll play that accordingly then.
All right, and in analysis I've seen about this Notre Dame Navy game, it seems like the public, the line actually moved slightly in favor of Notre Dame. I think it opened up at like 19.5. It's now 20.5. So the public is embracing Notre Dame, but it seems like, Mark Lawrence, every handicapper I've seen likes Navy in this game with the points, based on the fact that Notre Dame's run defense isn't all that hot, or wasn't in the past, last year especially, and that we know that if Navy can do anything well, it's run the football.
That they can. Most military teams do just that. They pound the ball. Navy hasn't had, well, I shouldn't say they haven't had a lot of time to prepare for them. They've only had 6 months to prepare for them. They haven't really practiced.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a rushing attack. And you've also got another side of this equation here with Navy. They let their head coach, Kenny Niumatalolo, go. And it was really surprising in the offseason because he was really well-liked. He'd done a lot of good things with that Navy football program, but they had fallen on some hard times here of late. And if you take a look, they're coming off 3 losing seasons in a row, which is really rather rare for Navy anyway. And the last time that Navy did have 3 losing seasons in a row, they came back and won 8 games and went to a bowl game. So, if that focus is there for them, they could accomplish just that. They've got a head coach, a new head coach, who is their former assistant, a defensive coordinator with this football program here. So he's well-liked, Brian Newberry is. And I think there's a lot to like about Navy this year. I think you're going to see a different Navy football team this season.
All right, so we're starting out taking the points there, Navy, in the game in Dublin, Ireland, against Notre Dame to kick off the college football season. Anything else that sticks out to you?
Yeah, we're going to look at the NFL final week of preseason this week. And some people maybe don't like playing preseason because it's exhibition football and you don't know who's playing and all those sorts of things. But this is going to be an interesting week because week 3 was always dress rehearsal week in the National Football League preseason, where the coaches would play the starters and then they would use week number 4 to fill their roster in and look at to fill out the players. But they don't have that luxury now. Week 2 is supposedly the dress rehearsal week, and week 3 is looking at the players. But we've got an interesting situation here in the Cincinnati-Washington football game this weekend. With no Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals are being dissed in the preseason, per se, if you will. They're coming in here winless in the preseason, and you've got Washington coming in off of just beating Baltimore and having snapped that 24-game winning streak on the last play of the game. It's going to be very, very difficult, I feel, for Washington to get back up to that level that they were at when they played Baltimore last week. And then you also throw into the pot that you've got 3 extra days of rest for Cincinnati between when they played and when Washington played in the preseason here. I think it's all a real nice little handicap to Cincinnati. So I'll play them plus the 4.5 against Washington. Cincinnati, give me them plus the 4.5.
Oh, nice.
I'll say this, of all the preseason football, some of which, you would say being subjected to is cruel and unusual punishment, but of all the preseason football games that I've seen, certainly in recent memory, the Washington game against the Ravens looked the most like a regular season game that I've seen, where it did seem like there was a spirited effort on both teams' part, to try and somehow accomplish the win.
Well, I think you're spot on with that. We saw, they were ecstatic when they won the football game at the end.
Yeah.
And, it's because the players fully knew that Baltimore came in on this massive win streak. They wanted to stop that. They're crosstown rivals, in a sense, if you will, geographically. And like you say, it did resemble a real National Football League game. And if that's the case, you can always anticipate letdowns, and then you find letdowns in situations just like this.
All right, Mark Lawrence, I know you're very busy with everything that's going on. Give us the information where people can subscribe and get all of your insights and analytics and all of the different things that you come up with, including that cup of coffee thing that I always enjoy receiving in the morning. A quick glimpse at that day's card, and usually with some insight, some humor to go along with it. How do people get involved with PlaybookSports.com?
Well, that cup of coffee, we said to anybody that subscribes to any of our publications or services, and in fact, our cup of coffee that went out this morning, we hit a little bit on that Republican debate this week here, and
All right.
delve into politics as opposed to football, but that was watching like WWE Raw, watching that debate.
Yes. It really was. I heard somebody characterize it, one of the analysts on either CNN or MSNBC, and they said it really looked like one of those postscript shows from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where they all get together with that, what is it, Andy Cohen, and they start screaming at each other. It had that kind of a feel to it.
Yes, it did. It had that going to pull your hair out type of a feeling.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that's the Coffee Club, and it's in your email box every morning. We deliver that every morning, every day through the Super Bowl. That's a free bonus when you do any of that with us. You can check everything we do out at playbooksports.com. Our Playbook Football Preview Guide magazine is waiting there. It's very, very popular, best-selling magazine. And also our weekly newsletter. You can check it out all online at playbooksports.com.
I guess when Mike Pence comes off as if he was Abe Lincoln in the Lincoln-Douglas debates, you have to question the strength of the field. I mean, this was Forte running at Beulah Park instead of in the Travers. All right, Mark, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you on these Degenerate Fridays throughout the season. It's always great having you on.
Hey, my pleasure, Defo. Mike, we look forward to talk with you guys this season. Be well and take care.
Thanks. Good
All
luck.
right, very good. Thanks so much. Mark Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so he likes the Naval Academy. That's what I was starting to say, that the fans seem to be, slightly, sending it in favor of Notre Dame if the line was going to be pushed up by a point. But every handicapper I've seen likes Navy in this game, Libby.
Well, because as what Greek said is right. Sam Hartman should be really good for Notre Dame this year.
Yeah.
But people don't know the offense. The Fakakta offense, they ran the slow mesh at Wake Forest, which was the stupidest fucking offense, but it worked, and it was the most. It was like watching a knuckleball work, where you're like, why aren't the hitters just hitting the shit out of that? Like the quarterback would just stand there with the running back waiting. You're like, why are they teeing off on him? But then you wouldn't know if he's going to hand it or if he's going to throw it, and he got so adept at it that it was a pain in the ass to stop until about halfway through the year they finally figured it out, and Wake Forest sort of plummeted a little bit, but I don't know what offense they're going to run in Notre Dame. And you don't know if he's good at any other offense. Like, that's what made Hartman good, was that exact offense. And Navy, we don't know if they're going to be able to take possessions away with their Fakakta running game. Like, that's why it's interesting to me that the Sharps are on Navy, but the fans just assume
everybody's on Navy thinking they're going to run the ball effectively enough. Maybe what do they need in this game? If they score 2 touchdowns,
you would think, yeah, exactly.
And Navy's got to score 35. So, are they going to be good enough to put 7 scores on the board against Navy? Which I don't know. Is Navy any big stud on defense? I wouldn't think so. But they're going to grind so much time away. Is what the theory is, that it's going to be hard to beat them by 3 TDs.
And now with this there's less plays now, and maybe eventually they figure it out, but that's not the case right now. So that's going to take plays away from Notre Dame as well.
It's so painful watching this offense, though. I can't stand it. I really can't. I would think, if anything, they would want to abandon it just from the point of view of are kids really going to want to be recruited into the Army or the Navy when they see their football team is so just savagely boring. Just ridiculous, right? I mean, would you really go and say? And it does strike me. There's no guy that's like training to be a Navy SEAL that can throw a football, or could be taught to do so. I mean, they're crawling under barbed wire in the mud.
It's the line,
underwater for like an hour and a half. There, they were free diving in the Maldives, and they can't find one guy that can throw a football in the entire school. right? I mean, when you went to FSU, you probably, maybe you're playing recreational basketball in the gym or something, and there were a couple of guys that would show up that you would say, you know what, they probably could run with the varsity.
Oh yeah, and there was always guys that were pretty decent. It's
Yeah.
grades, and it's about can you do it every game? Like the consistency is what separates the star players and the guys that make it and the guys that don't.
There had to be some guy that signed up for the Naval Academy that was like a stud quarterback in high school, no? But figuring, okay, I'm not going to be a pro, so this is I want to learn about this, that, or whatever. So I'm going to join the Naval Academy, be a part of the armed services. Great, but there isn't some guy that has closet ability to throw a football that they could find somehow by accident among the massive number of people that are attending the Naval Academy. One guy. Wouldn't they just have auditions? Intramurals, anything. You could find a guy usually, no? That's kind of crazy. All right, we have to run. That's it for a Degenerate Friday. Our thanks to everybody who joined us here. I thought they were all outstanding. The Greek, the professor, and, of course, Mark Lawrence, playbooksports.com. And we will be coming at you 12 o'clock today with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox live, speaking of degeneracy, from Gulfstream Park, where I think the key number at Saratoga today in the early races, Louis, it's a little chalky, is 5. 5's all the way across the board. All right, we'll see you next time. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 8:46.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.